The access media has been melting down over the past few weeks about companies very quickly abandoning DEI initiatives that they've put into place over the past few years. And of course, CI Games had caused a big wave in the gaming industry just 2 weeks ago when they announced they would not be forcing DEI into their games and they really wanted to listen to gamers. The CEO was even putting up polls about their game and the future of their company, which has gone over really well for them. But now Rock Paper Shotgun has put out this mega hit piece on companies warning them that if this is the direction you are going to go in, you're going to face major boycotts over it. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I think it's funny that these people are coping and seething over the fact that the initiatives that they have been pushing for to be normalized in the gaming industry are no longer working out. Now, yes, at the end of the day, I always say this, companies are filled with virtue signalers. They don't actually care about the initiatives that they're putting into place. They're just doing what they think is going to make them money. And I don't necessarily blame them for that, but it's been years and years and years of going down this route and it hasn't paid off for them. So we all knew that this was going to happen. Even companies like Amazon, Meta, Walmart, McDonald's are all abandoning these practices, and the people who have supported them are now seething over the fact that they are no longer getting their way. So it says last week, CI Games, the publishers of Sniper Ghost Warrior and Lords of the Fallen, declared to investors and social media followers that they would be avoiding DEI both in terms of their hiring practices and more ambiguously in terms of the social or political content of their games. It's a good opportunity to rebut some of the arguments against DEI while exploring what DEI has come to mean to people who play video games and to the people who sell them. Yes, CI Games did announce this, but they've even taken it one step further. They're not just talking about removing DEI initiatives from the company, but the CEO has put out several polls and he has said that they are going to implement these polls into their games, that this is the direction they're taking it in. So they are going one step further and they are proving that they are trying to listen to gamers. Now, yes, you could sit here and say, why didn't they do this in the first place? I totally and completely agree. But we need to give companies some room to change. Otherwise, why would they change? If we are just going to say, no, we reject you no matter what you do, we're never going to see positive turns in this industry again. So I'm all for it. I personally really like Lords of the Fallen 2023. I did stream it on the channel, thought it was really fun, thought it was really good. But even then, I did criticize the fact that it had body types A and B. I thought that that's stupid. I still think that that is stupid when it is implemented in titles. It doesn't kill an experience for me personally, though. Like, Elden Ring's one of my favorite games of all time now. That has body types A and B. Lords of the Fallen was really good. That featured it. But he is saying that they are going to end up patching that in the future. And he's put out other polls like this. Should lead video game characters be widely considered attractive or aspirational by the vast majority of players? I personally voted yes. It's got 22 hours left on it. Go and vote in the poll if you feel strongly enough about it. But I think that, yes, in certain situations, a character's backstory might warrant them to be ugly. Like Brienne of Tarth, for example, she was never seen as like a gorgeous woman, and that really did affect the character that she eventually became, which I do think is important to have characters that are balanced like that. But I think on average, characters should be strong, hunky, masculine men or very petite, feminine, beautiful looking females. I personally don't see any problem with that being kind of the norm. Again, the Anita Sarkeesians would certainly beg to differ, but now, of course, the media is just trying to find any opportunity they can to trash video game companies who are daring to listen to gamers. Many right-wing talking heads maintain that such interventions are unnecessary and indeed oppressive because they feel the discrimination at stake doesn't really really exist. So let's bundle in some supporting statistics according to a European Economic Review paper from 2023 that considers the result of several studies from 2005 to 2020. Older people from minority ethnicities, and disabled people all face slightly more discrimination during hiring than younger white European and North Americans without disabilities. We are not just talking about hiring practices in the industry, we are also talking about the content that is being created within the industry. I don't know why they're acting like he was just talking about hiring practices. He was talking about in the games themselves, but of course they're going to bring up hiring practices that, by the way, do not even have to do with the gaming industry specifically either. The journalist goes on to say the argument that games with social or political agendas are a risk commercially, meanwhile, echoes the reactionary claim that there isn't really an audience for games that express left-wing positions of any kind. I'm interested to see Hill put some actual figures behind that, because the comments thread battle cry "Go woke, go broke" doesn't stand up to casual analysis when it certainly does. I only have to give you one example, and that is Concord. They spent $400 to $700 million on that game. Okay, 8 years worth of development. Sony went out of their way to purchase Firewalk Studios. It was the biggest video game failure of all time. Now, yes, there was a plethora of issues with that title, like the $40 buy-in fee, which was insane given that's what Overwatch launched at a fucking decade ago. But you also only had a handful of maps. You had, I believe it was 13 heroes. It was somewhere right around there. And it, yes, did highlight DEI. Characters had pronouns: she, her, he, him, they, them, ze, zer. The costumes and the skins were some of the most atrocious I have ever seen in video games, and they had every opportunity to make this a smashing success. Even look at Amazon's Secret Level series. It had an episode. They really thought that this was going to be the next best thing, and it wasn't. But this is what happens when you focus on pushing a political agenda over making genuinely amazing content. Marvel's Rivals doesn't have pronouns. Marvel's Rivals has really good character skins. Marvel's Rivals launched with 33 heroes. Marvel's Rivals launched with like 6 maps and multiple modes, and it has already made hundreds of millions of dollars, and there are hundreds of thousands of people playing it at all times, and as far as we know, they didn't spend $700 million to develop it. Yes, I understand that the IP is pretty big, but we are talking about Sony. When it comes to Concord, the biggest company within the video game industry right now, they're making the most amount of money in this industry that makes billions and billions and billions of dollars every single year. They can afford it. They could have afforded to make Concord a smashing success. They could have hired people who are not raging fucking radical leftists to actually make really good content. They could have hired passionate people, good game designers, good developers who just wanted to make an exciting experience, and they didn't. And they completely fucking failed. The modern audience could show up to prove us wrong time after time after time. Look at the Sweet Baby Inc. /DEI detected list, okay? Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, Concord, Kill the Justice League, Dustborn, Unknown Nine Awakening. They could have showed up to support any of those. You could go down that list and buy every single game. They could organize an event where as many people as possible get into one single game, and they can't, because there's not really that many people who fall into the modern audience category. Now, yes, I do think that there are a lot of casual gamers out there who do not know about Gamergate 2 and are not on either particular side. But there still should be enough of those people to prove the chuds wrong, and they never can. So yes, we have example after example that proves that games with social or political agendas are a risk commercially. Look at Unknown Nine Awakening. That was Bandai Namco. They went out of their fucking way to buy Reflector, and that was a flop too. They had Yennefer's actress working on that game. They should have, for all intents and purposes, had a hit on their hands. But that's what happens when you don't make good entertainment and you focus on pushing agendas first. Gamers are sick and tired of this bullshit, and it is going to continue to happen. And when you are Rock Paper Shotgun or Kotaku or Polygon or The Gamer, when you are just an access media outlet and you are pushing back against what gamers have clearly shown that they want and do not want in games, you're going to get completely fucking roasted. And that's what's happening now. It's not shocking to see this happen time and time again, but I am going to sit here and defend developers who are at least trying to change their ways because they want to. Now, sure, at the end of the day, maybe this is all just a big PR stunt. Maybe they're just after money, but they're still ultimately listening to gamers and they're putting up polls where they are proving that they are listening to gamers. So can I really be mad at them? I personally don't think I can, because they are at least trying to give us what we want, and that does deserve some level of praise. So if there are any other hit pieces like this, I'm sure that I will be covering them again in the future, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.